Hello, my name is Joseph G. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about hobbles, what they're made of, how they work, and a new material that I'm using to make hobbles with. So please follow me out to the corral. The purpose of hobbles is to limit the mobility of the mules. I'm now making a hobble out of a synthetic material which minimizes these problems. It won't absorb water or mud. It remains pliable in freezing conditions and is soft enough and has smooth enough edges that it doesn't abrade the tissue of the animal. There are many different types of hobbles. I've brought some out that I have in my possession just to give an idea of the variety, and this is just a small example. This is one type where each leg has a separate buckling enclosure. It's made out of nylon webbing and has a felt lining in the interior to prevent abrasion. A rope type of hobble, which is simply enlarged to go over each hoof and then closed. This is one of my favorite types. It's called a figure 8 hobble. This one is made out of nylon webbing. It's gotten quite stiff over the years and is pretty firm and abrasive to the foot of the animal. This is a hobble that's made out of baling twine. It's twisted and a loop created and is actually one of the types of hobbles that is most gentle to the animal's legs. This is a very interesting type of hobble. It's all metal. It was created to thwart thieves from stealing the animals. To open it and close it, it's something like a Chinese puzzle, and takes some foreknowledge of how to do it. All of these types of hobbles have one really basic inherent problem. They absorb water and mud, and they tend to abrade the tissue of the animal. Now in a typical hobbling situation, we might be on a pack trip out in the mountains and we want to set the animals out to graze in a meadow, and there will typically be a stream or a lake in the area for water, and invariably they end up in the muck and the mud of the stream. The hobbles absorb the water and the mud and become very irritating to the tissue of the animal. And whether the hobble is made out of leather or rawhide or nylon webbing, these problems all tend to be the same. They become soggy and messy when they get wet. If it freezes, they become hard and brittle and, like I said, abrade the tissue of the animal. And this becomes a problem when they get open sores. Now, what I'm going to do is place this upon one of my mules, Gretchen, here, and demonstrate the properties of this hobble. One of the advantages of this figure 8 design of hobbles is the ease of putting on and off the animal. Another advantage is ease of transport. When we go on pack trips, it's always nice to have the hobbles where they're readily accessible when you get to camp and you don't have to unload packs and panniers in order to find your hobbles. This particular style can easily be transported around their necks. As such, so for both riding and packing animals, each of them has a hobble right around their neck, and as soon as we get into camp, it's immediately available. The other way it can be transported, if desired, is to hook it onto the back of your riding saddle where the rear cinch strap lies, it can just be looped over that rear cinch strap and allowed to dangle right along the back of the saddle. Whereas most of these other types of hobbles are kind of awkward to transport. Now, what I'm going to do is place this upon one of my mules, Gretchen, here, and demonstrate the properties of this hobble. You go in a counterclockwise direction, bring the hobble around, again, come around to this side. Notice I'm never directly in front of her. You've only got one buckle to deal with. Make sure it's snug but not tight. Got plenty of tail to get connected to. Now, while this is on, I want to show one other aspect of this hobble. Hobbles will slow an animal down, but they will not totally prevent it from moving. In fact, when they get running, they can run as fast as a man can run, even with the hobbles on. One way of slowing them down is to tie their heads down. Now, I put a center D-ring in this hobble that their heads can be connected to. And the only time I do this is when I'm putting them out to graze in the mountains and I'm worried about them running off. This will slow that down. Won't totally prevent it, but it makes them hard for them to run with any speed. They can graze just fine with this tie down. The rope is about 28 inches, and I think that's about right for this kind of situation. To order these, either call me at 801-735-2035, or to see more photos on my website, that's josephgsaddlery.com.